Welcome to QB Power Hour. I'd like to do a real quick sound check. Are you all able to hear me this morning? If you can, would you please type in there that you all can hear me? Yay, very good. Welcome to another QB Power Hour. Today we're going to be talking about Citrix tools to help firms improve their workflow. We're very glad to have you joining us for this one. Our agenda today, we're going to be again giving you a quick overview about QB Power Hour, about the hosts and the guests and our speaker today. We'll cover the CPE process. We have a couple of announcements and updates for upcoming events. And then we're going to be talking about, I apologize, I didn't get the slide updated. We're going to be talking specifically about some Citrix tools that are going to help you with your practice and your workflow, specifically ShareFile, RightSignature, as well as ShareConnect. So that's our agenda for the day. My name is Michelle Long. I am a CPA with Long for Success in Kansas City, Missouri, but today I'm joining you from the Illinois Midwest Accounting and Finance Showcase in Chicago. So I'm very glad to be joining you guys today. We also have Hector Garcia. Hector's down in sunny Miami. Hector, you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. So we're anxiously awaiting a hurricane that's coming this weekend, and we haven't had a hurricane in a while. I know this sounds a little pessimist, but yeah, that's the Miami life. Anyway, I work and live in Miami, Florida. I have my practice down here. I do mostly QuickBooks consulting and QuickBooks training, and I'm happy to be here today.
Very good. Thank you, Hector. And I hope that hurricane's not too bad and that you guys get prepared for it. We also have Grady Slaughter. Grady, would you like to go ahead and say hi and do a quick introduction?
Sure thing. Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Grady Slaughter. I'm a product marketing manager at Citrix. I've been working with ShareFile for over 5 years now, and was one of the first 30 employees to work at ShareFile. And I've been working with accountants since day one. I'm here to be talking about some of our products and also how they apply to general technology trends facing accountants today, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Very good. Thank you, Grady. And I had the privilege of actually visiting Grady and Citrix in Raleigh, North Carolina on Monday, and it was great to actually meet you in person and see the Citrix office and everything. And I've been using ShareFile for many years, so I'm glad to be sharing that and some of these other great tools with people today. A few of our announcements and introductions. First of all, QB Power Hour. Normally, we do this every 2 weeks with our next webinar being on September 3rd. However, I'm going to give you a schedule in a little bit. We've actually got webinars scheduled for the next 6 weeks. We usually cover tips, tricks, and advanced insights with a different topic every webinar. We usually allocate things to about half desktop and half online with some special guests on some third-party apps or practice management or, for example, value pricing topics. We do try to focus on the feedback and the topics that you all request. You can submit that at QB Power Hour. Today we have a special Power Hour covering Citrix topics and focusing on that. Our primary sponsors are normally Hector and I in our practice, Long for Success, and Hector's QuickBooks Bookkeeping and Accounting. But we also have other vetted sponsors from third-party developers or other speakers sometimes. We always focus on useful and relevant products and services that are going to help you all in your practice or help your clients and stuff. We're not officially sponsored or associated with Tuit, although we do work very closely with them, and from time to time we will have them as a guest speaker to cover various announcements and events and things like that. And Hector and I are both trainers for Intuit, so we love their help as well. But today's sponsor is Citrix. They have some really great tools that really help us, and I can't wait for you guys to learn some more about this. I know last week you kind of talked about some of these things and there was a lot of interest, so you're going to learn a lot more about that today and how that can help you in your practice. And I already saw some people talking about ShareFile in the QB Power Hour Facebook group, and they were talking about how it also included ShareConnect, and they were able to log me in, and it saved them a couple $100 a year. So they were very excited. So I'm glad to have you guys learning more about that today. Hector, would you like to go ahead and cover the CPE process for everybody?
Okay, yes, thank you very much. For CPE, and I get a lot of emails of people requesting CPE certificates. CPEs are sent automatically with our system. There are 2 important qualifiers. One, you must be logged in at least 50 minutes, and you have to be on the live webinar and answer the CPE question. So if all those 3 components are there, typically give us about 3 weeks to send them out. However, up to today, every single CPE has been sent out. So if you're missing some, you can email me. But again, if you're not there during the 50 minutes or answer the question, then I can't issue the CPE certificate. So that's really pretty much the most important thing is pay attention to the keyword question, write it down, and make sure to answer it towards the end when we ask for it.
Very good. Thank you, Hector. And also then we've got these upcoming QB Power Hours for actually it's the next 5 weeks now. Next week we have Ron Baker and Chris Rapetto. Then the 10th, we think we're going to be covering what's new in QuickBooks 2016. That's going to be dependent on if, Intuit releases it and stuff, but we should be good to go for that.
Exactly.
We've got custom reporting. We've also got a special power hour with spotlight reporting, and then we're covering nonprofits. So mark your calendar for these special QB webinars that we have. If you've got it marked every other Thursday, you might want to put some of these special ones down there as well, so you're able to join us for those. We wanted to remind you about some upcoming events. QuickBooks Connect in San Jose, California is coming up November 2nd and 4th, and Hector and I would love to see you there, as well as at SkeeterCon in Las Vegas. Hector and I are going to be doing QB Power Hour live from Vegas. We'd love to have you join us for a live one. That's going to be fun to have people there and in the room with us doing that. As well as then QB Online Certification Prep Training is coming to various cities near you. There's all kinds of cities all across the United States. Next week, I'm going to be in Bethesda, Philadelphia, and Boston. If you're in those cities, please join us there. I'd love to see you. Me and MB Ramondi will be presenting those. Hector and I will announce the cities that we're doing in addition to that a little bit later. But you can sign up and check those cities out at intuitacademy.com. It is free, and you get free CPE. And best of all, if you're not certified in QuickBooks Online yet, you can get certified. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Grady and let him share some details with you when it comes to using the ShareFile and the Citrix tools. So Grady, I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter. Let's see,
Okay.
Make presenter, and pass this over to you. And then you all can ask your questions by typing them in the question box, and we'll ask those to Grady as we have time. There we go. We can see your screen, Grady, so take it away.
Excellent. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so today we're going to be largely covering 3 of Citrix's products that are very prominent in the accounting space. The 3 we're going to be overviewing are ShareFile, RightSignature, and ShareConnect. And we'll kind of dive into how those are all relevant. For those of you guys who were on the webinar last week, you would have learned about the accounting technology hierarchy of needs, which is basically a way of thinking about what type of technology you should be adopting at your firm, starting with the basic necessities like hardware, computers, printers, that sort of thing that you really need to have in order to actually run a practice at all, and then working up to the things that are then like the very next steps, so accounting and tax software, then firm safeguards to ensure that things that could potentially hurt your business are non-issues anymore, and then moving into optimizing things like communication support, transitioning from reactive to proactive support, and of course reaching higher levels of growth and sustainability through maximizing efficiencies and providing superior experiences for your clients and an easier way for your employees to work from anywhere. We're going to highlight how some of Citrix's products are relevant in several of these steps in the pyramid, namely the top 4. And we'll go ahead and get started with firm safeguards. Last week we discussed how this is really the first step where some firms aren't totally up to speed yet. It's an important one though. Again, most firms are likely have some type of accounting or tax software in place. But as far as firm safeguards, not all firms at this point are encrypting the data on their hard drives or encrypting data in transit. And that's a really important step as we as accountants, as we're working more with personal identifiable information. This is the kind of information that, if it's released, can become really problematic, not just for your clients, but for your firm as well, because it's one of those things that potentially has firm-ending consequences, things like lawsuits and stuff like that. But the nice thing is that encryption is a really good safeguard against that. Data that's encrypted with like the prerequisite standards, which are generally considered to be like 128 to 256-bit encryption, ensures that even if those encrypted files are intercepted at any point, the likelihood of them being opened is almost negligible. So it really prevents you from having to do anything like a big, massive data breach notification. At this point where we are with technology and just the risks out there, it's definitely something that all firms should be doing. Another thing is backups. Considering how much information is generally stored at accounting firms these days, and how this information is transitioning. As accounting firms transition to more paperless offices, more and more of this information is stored digitally, which is a good thing in the long term. You just need to be ensuring that you are that you're backing up this data wherever possible, whether that's on your actual machines, if that's where you store it, on an in-office server. Basic ways that you can back this stuff up includes buying an external hard drive and doing like a weekly backup, so that basically if anything were to happen in that time frame, and depending upon where you are in the country, you might be more prone to things. Hector was talking about how they have a hurricane coming up in Miami, and that's certainly something that could pose problems if there aren't adequate safe measures in place, although I'm sure they are. But doing things like, at a minimum, backing up stuff on hard drives externally, but even better, backing stuff up off-site ensures that should anything happen to the machines themselves, that you're covered. And that's just a component of a larger disaster recovery plan, so that should anything happen, again, in the Southeast. I'm originally from Florida as well. Hurricanes is something we became very familiar with and how to prepare for them. But you face things like earthquakes over on the West Coast and snowstorms up in the Northeast during the winter. Just ensuring you have the proper safeguards to ensure that you can continue to run your business should anything happen. With that in mind, the first tool that we're going to really highlight is ShareFile, and how it can really be a beneficial tool for keeping your files synced off-site, and also for really storing the stuff off-site in the event that you need to get it when not physically in the office. With a ShareFile account, you can upload files up to 100 gigabytes in size, and we now have plans that offer unlimited storage, so that presumably if you wanted to sync all of the computers from your office up to ShareFile so that you had all of your files synced off-site, you could definitely do that. It's a really easy way to just provide that extra safeguard. And of course, with the ShareFile account, you're actually ensuring that you're keeping everything tracked and organized. You can control who has access to everything. You have activity logs, audit logs for all activity. And of course, it's secure. Any data that's uploaded to ShareFile in transit, that's going to be done with a secure encrypted connection, and the data is, of course, stored at rest on our servers. Plus, it's kept in multiple redundancies, so should anything happen to your office and our primary service, your data is still safe. The next step in the hierarchy that we covered last week, and again, we're going over some of this briefly since there were some people that weren't able to attend last week, is improving communication efficiency and professionalism. This is a big one because as technology changes, expectations around how you communicate with clients, and specifically how they want to communicate with you, change as well. Things like smartphones and being able to communicate from a smartphone becomes that much more important in the eyes of clients. So really adopting tools that not only protect your brand, or I should say get your brand out there and protect data, but also work on the devices that your clients use is a really important step. So generally speaking, you want to make sure you're adopting some type of methodology that allows data to be protected when you're communicating with clients, both to them and from them. You want to ensure that you are making data available to them at pretty much all hours. That can easily be done with a client portal, and that's very standard these days as clients increasingly expect to be able to get to anything with like a Google search or with a login to, for example, an online bank. It's very similar with accounting at this point, that they can get those tax files they need at any point. And of course that you are enabling your employees to collect data from clients that they might need in a contextual manner that reduces the amount of effort that's required on your client's part. And what I mean by that is, an example I like to bring up is collecting a signature on something like an 8879 or an engagement letter or a third-party authorization form. The normal standard process for that would be you send the form over, they then have to download it, print it, then they have to sign it, and then find a way to either fax it over to you or scan it into their computer and then send it securely back to you. That's a pretty laborious process for your typical client. It's a lot easier to just use an e-signing utility. When you need to get that document signed, you use the e-signing utility and they're able to sign it on their phone right away, and you get that signed copy that you need in no time. With that in mind, ShareFile again has a lot of applicability here. We learned last week that a lot of people are primarily communicating with email. With that in mind, we have tools that allow you from Microsoft Outlook to securely send not only files and attachments to and from clients, but also messages as well, so that you can keep not only the attachments, but also the content of emails themselves totally secure. Large file sizes aren't going to be an issue either. And this can sometimes become problematic with things like QuickBooks backup files and other large documents, particularly when working with businesses. They can very oftentimes exceed the file size limitations that email oftentimes poses. And of course, using a tool like this allows you to get your brand out there because a tool like ShareFile will have your brand front and center, but it also reduces the amount of effort that's required for both your employees and your clients in order to conduct that communication. I touched on this a bit as well, how e-signing is very relevant. It's a growing tool in the accounting space. It really got popular about 2 years ago when the IRS released official guidelines for how you can use e-signatures at an accounting practice. Really a great tool for enabling you to get the contextual information you need so that you guys can do your jobs without complicating your clients' lives. So getting contracts and things like that signed, ensuring that signatures can be received on important files in minutes instead of days or sometimes weeks. And of course, as more accounting firms go in a paperless direction, reducing the amount of paper, filing, scanning, and other effort that's required to actually, do these processes that have to be done. So ShareFile in combination with RightSignature really is relevant, not only for those engagement letters, but also the specific 8879's third-party authorization forms. One of the bigger areas of interest on last week's webinar was learning how to provide better support for clients. And it's another trend in the accounting space as accounting firms try and move from one of many that can be searched on a tool like Yelp or Facebook or Angie's List to a consultancy that their clients trust and value and go to regularly and are oftentimes willing to espouse on social media sites. One of the best ways to do that is to provide that excellent support that builds trust. Becoming a trusted advisor is a great hedge not only for retaining clients from other competition, but again, for small firms in particular that don't have those big marketing budgets, for building a social media reputation that largely does the marketing for you. So with that in mind, Citrix for accounting has a number of tools that allow you to do things like access QuickBooks files on a client's computer without actually having them have to send you a backup file. It's one of those things that, again, just reduces the time and complexity on the client's part for you to actually provide that level of support. And the other thing is that you can do things like schedule when you want to do regular checkups with your client's files so that rather than on occasion when your client is actually requesting that help, many accounting firms are transitioning to this proactive support model, where as part of their billing, they're actually just saying, hey, as a client, we're going to take care of these things on a regular basis. You won't have to worry about anything, and it really builds that value. Citrix's tool for this is called ShareConnect. What it allows you to do is not only access your own desktop from out of the office, which allows you to have more time and flexibility for yourself and for your employees, but it also enables you to access files and your client's desktop as well from anywhere. This could be from your office computer, but it could also be, if you're away from your office, from a smartphone or a tablet, so that if you need to just do a quick review of something, you can take care of it as long as you have an internet connection from any device. ShareConnect allows you, again, not only to access those files at any point, but it also reduces the complexity for the client because they set it up one time and then they don't ever have to worry about setting up a backup file, getting it over to you, and then making sure that they're using the right file after you send any revisions back to them. So it's a really excellent tool for that. Using these products in conjunction with making sure that the bottom of the pyramid is working well, that you're using a tax and accounting software that you like and works well for your employees, and that your hardware is in good working order, allows you to achieve better sustainability and growth, and really helps you as a firm operate more succinctly. And this is something that becomes really important in today's world where it's really tough to find great talent. Life changes and things like that are important. They can't always be accounted for. Sometimes, whether that's starting a family or moving to another part of the country. But if you can retain a great employee by providing them the tools that they need in order to work just as effectively, even if they're not physically inside the office, it's a way that you can not only keep that great talent, but not have to go through the process of, training, hiring new employees that may not be as good as the one that just left. So doing things like that and also adopting technology that allows you to be productive outside of the office can free you from your desk as well. Before we kind of dive into something more along the lines of a product demo, I kind of wanted to stop and see if there were any questions that had built up on the line.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of questions. some people are kind of very anxious to see how ShareFile works, the live demo. So that's coming. So I'll let you know that. They just need to cover all the other products because they do tend to work in tandem quite a bit. So one of the questions was, are you going to discuss the pricing for all these products? Do you have plans for that, to discuss the pricing, Grady?
Yes, so we have variable pricing that's designed to meet firms both small and large. I have a slide about that at
Okay,
the end of the
perfect.
presentation that'll cover that in a little bit more detail, but basically we can work to build a plan that, depending upon which products you like and want to use and how large your firm is and what your needs are, so that it fits your needs.
Hey, Grady, one of the things that I think would be great before you get into the demo, and a lot of people have great questions that you got to give Grady a chance to show you, and he's going to be covering some of these things. But one of the questions right up front was, I've got ShareFile free from the Sleater group or from Nan. How is it different? And I believe, and I wanted to make sure I'm right, I believe that what they get through Sleater or Nan is a folder in their account, so they don't have access to all the features and all the benefits that are included with a full ShareFile account. But can you kind of elaborate and clarify that before you get into your demo?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And that, you pretty much nailed it right there on the head. The free account that comes with something like a Sleater plan, and we do this so that accountants can get some of the benefits without having to pay anything, and so that we can, of course, get our name out there. It allows you to achieve some of the benefits in terms of keeping some of your files off-site and being able to access them from anywhere. But things like integration with Microsoft Outlook, or the ability to request files or set up custom folders for individuals, or integration with e-signatures. These are things that you're not going to be able to get with a free account. And so if your needs are very light, something like that might be perfectly fine, but we're going to cover like the full gamut of features so you can actually see if there are ones that appeal to you.
Okay, so can we show the CPE keyword before you go into the demo? That way you're not interrupted.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right to that. So the CPE keyword for today is Bijan Frise.
So there's another, while we have the CPE question up, there was another question, there was a couple of people asking about Dropbox and security. So I know you're going to get into ShareFile. Do you have any insight about how Dropbox and it works and the security issues that Dropbox has, Dropbox being probably the most popular file sharing system out there, but when it comes to accounting, it's not recommended. Do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, it's not, and there's a few reasons for that. To Dropbox's credit, they've been working really hard to try and improve their security, but a large part of where they're running into problems is because of the way that they actually try to get their product out in the hands of as many people as possible. And I'll kind of walk you through why that is. For any of you guys that have used Dropbox, you know that you get your own folder in the cloud where you can sync your documents. But when you want to share documents and folder access to other people, you're actually connecting your Dropbox account with other Dropbox accounts, and there is that connection that's established. Well, what ends up happening is that much like a net or a spider web, all these Dropbox accounts actually get connected with through multiple different links, all these other Dropbox accounts, and it allows on occasion malware to spread, which can oftentimes be undetectable until it's too late. There are a few recent examples of this. The last one that I can remember is something called Dropsmack, which basically used the fact that Dropbox operates as an interconnected network to spread malware between Dropbox accounts without account owners actually knowing that it was going on. Dropbox, of course, did that so that they could, they designed it that way so that they could get their name out there. If I want to share files with somebody, well, I can send them that link, but in order for them to get to them, they have to sign up for their own Dropbox account. So it boosted their total user numbers. ShareFile works a little differently. Accounts are really done in isolation so that you have total ownership over the files and folders in your account. They don't connect with other ShareFile accounts, and it ensures that your stuff is siloed, and it really prevents that from being an issue.
Thank you, Grady. Okay, one more time, write down Bijan Frise. That is my puppy dogs. Yesterday was National Dog Day, so write down Bijan Frise or Freeze. That is your CPE keyword, and you'll need that a little bit later. Grady, thank you for answering some of those questions. If you want to go ahead with the ShareFile demo, people are anxious to see it.
Be happy to. Let's go ahead and dive right in. If you'll just give me a second, I'm going to drag a screen over. Okay. Are you guys able to see this web browser that I have pulled up?
Yep.
Yes,
okay,
we can see.
Excellent. Okay, so this is my ShareFile account. I use this every day. It's what I use for work. It's what I use to keep all my files in sync so that I can get to them outside the office. So I'm going to be giving you guys a tour of my actual ShareFile account. Every user on ShareFile has their own unique username and password. Your username is most oftentimes your email address, and your password is totally unique to you. And when I put in that unique combination, I'm able to get access to my account. You'll notice that right now it says ShareFile and it has our branding up here. But if you were to get a ShareFile account yourself, we actually put your firm's branding up there for you. You don't have to do anything. We have an account branding team that will help pull that information from your website and automatically brand it for you. Again, no effort required on your part. If you don't happen to have a website, you can send us things like your logo and we'll still set it up for you. The nice thing about that is when any of your clients log in, of course, they're seeing your branding and not ours. When I log in, I am first shown access to all of my personal files and folders. And again, this is all of my documents that I actually use for work every single day, and they're in my files and folders section. What's really nice about this is that using tools like ShareFile Sync, I can keep all of my files synced to the cloud at all times securely. So if I pull up a file browser and I go to ShareFile, I actually have my whole desktop folder synced to my ShareFile account. These green check marks indicate that the file is in sync and totally up to date. If I were to update a file, there'd be like a blue symbol that would indicate that it's updating, and then it would go to a green check mark. The nice thing about this is that, again, I just have access to everything that I could possibly need, not only outside of the office, like from home, but also on any of the mobile devices that I use. So in this case, I have an iPhone 5 and an iPad 3 that I'll do things like review presentations and stuff on because it's just more convenient for me to use those tools. Let's see. The other thing is that, again, and I touched on this before, is that all of your files and folders in ShareFile are kept in multiple redundancy. And this ensures that even in some type of catastrophic event, your data is stored securely in redundancy at multiple points across different locations in the country. So that, your data will always be safe and secure. Now this is my files and folders. If I were to jump into something like this, I'd be able to see that I only have access to this. Shared folders works a little differently. This is where you can actually use your ShareFile account as a client portal. And what I mean by that is I can actually say that certain people outside of my firm have access to certain folders. So let's check accounting files as an example. This particular folder, I have 2 documents in here. And while I have access and I've given myself the ability to upload and download and delete files, I have admin privileges. I've also had somebody from outside of my firm, this fictional user, it's my fictional client user that I use for demonstrations, named Bob. Bob has the ability to download and upload things, but I've not given him the ability to delete things. If I want to change his permissions, I could do that at any time. And so I can say, for example, maybe I do want him to have the ability to delete things, but a lot of times firms don't want to even give them the option to make mistakes, so they won't give delete permissions. So doing this, if Bob were to sign in, he would just see this one folder on my ShareFile account, the only folder that I've given him access to. And ensure that I'm able to give everyone that needs to have access to files on a 24/7 basis the access that they need without them seeing anything that they shouldn't be seeing. And it's a really easy way to ensure that you're providing those client portal levels of service for 24/7 access. The other thing that's important to keep in mind about a ShareFile account, and this isn't the case with all client portals, is that you can set up an unlimited number of clients on your ShareFile account. So no matter how many outside users you have, and again, most oftentimes these are going to be clients, it could be other firms or that you're working with outside of your own, you have an unlimited number of users. So I could set up 1,000 or more clients, each with their own level of folder access, and they'd all have that 24/7 access just to those folders that I designated that they have access to. And of course, when they do sign in, they're going to see my branding, not ShareFile branding. Now, oftentimes, granting that 24/7 access is really desirable. It provides for your clients a self-service option, which enables them to get what they need at a moment's notice without enlisting your help. But a lot of firms are still using email quite a bit because it's just a really easy way to communicate, and it's something that's been established for a while. What I'd like to show you is one of the tools that I alluded to earlier called the ShareFile plugin for Microsoft Outlook. It's a tool we've updated recently, and I'm going to show you the newest and latest features. The first of which is that, as you'll notice, it operates right in Outlook. It's just like using regular email because it is regular email. It's almost like regular email on steroids. And what I mean by that is that I can attach files up to 10 gigabytes in size using the ShareFile plugin over here. If I attach files from my PC or from my ShareFile account, I not only have the ability to send these huge files, but I can specify permissions that I wouldn't be able to do with regular email. That includes things like requiring a name and email address in case I want additional tracking information, requiring recipients to log in with their ShareFile password if I want to be extra secure, providing for myself notifications when somebody has downloaded a file. This can be really helpful if you're trying to ensure something happens on a timely basis. If you don't get that notification, you know something's up, something didn't happen. But also I can say I only want files available for a day or 3 days or a week or only for 1 or 2 downloads. And it just provides those extra levels of protection and control that you can't get with a regular email account. So if I attach a document, and I'm just going to drag something from my desktop into my ShareFile account. Tell you what, I'll drag in the presentation that I made for today. So if I have a presentation, it could be any file type, it accepts any file types at all. Right now it's a regular file attachment, but all I have to do is click Convert to ShareFile, and it'll do it as a ShareFile link. I get all the tracking and all the benefits that go along with that. The other thing I can do is I can actually request files from clients as well. And this is a great tool because with one link, it makes it super easy for that client to send me files that I might need without them sending regular attachments that might otherwise jeopardize the security of that data, having it passed over an open network. So request a file links, I can put that at any point. It looks like this, but you can also set up a permanent one, like I have in my email address, or excuse me, my email signature. I set this one up so that at any point in any of my email correspondence, anybody can communicate securely with me by attaching files securely. Now, one of the last things that we heard in our years working with accountants that they really wanted was a way to communicate securely without attachments, and that's totally understandable. Sometimes people just need to send a quick update. Maybe there's a quick bit of information that's needed but might be sensitive, and so being able to protect the information in a body of an email can be really valuable. And an example of that would be if I'm trying to include a social security number or something like that, etc. If you were to send this out right now, this text would be basically, it would be like sending a postcard in the mail. There's no protection around it as it bounces from server to server as it gets to its final destination. But with the new ShareFile Outlook plugin that we released earlier this year, you can actually encrypt not only the attachment itself, which we've been able to do for many years, you can also encrypt the body of the email as well. When I click this lock icon, you'll notice that instead of send, my new icon is Send Secure, and any text that I have in the body of this email will be sent with an encryption, ensuring that only the person that I intend to view it will be able to. So it's a really great way to protect the regular email correspondence from the tools you use most often so that you can go about your day without having to really go through the effort of learning all these new tools. I'll send this off to one of my clients, in this case, one of my fake email addresses that I can pull up later. And that's all it took to send a secure email. One of the cool things too is that this isn't something that's only available in Microsoft Outlook. Via the inbox feature of the ShareFile web app, you have the ability to send secure emails off as well. So I can click Compose up here, and I can compose a secure, protected email message for my clients. And again, this is great if I'm doing something from out of the office. Maybe I'm using a home computer that might be a Mac or something like that. Or if anybody, if you're familiar with Gmail, process is largely the same. You sign in with your username and password, and you can compose emails right here. Difference is that these are protected. Take a quick pause right here to see if there's any questions about what we've covered thus far.
Okay, Grady, there's a lot of questions. I'm here typing frantically, trying to answer all these things. Okay, so the Outlook add-in, it's only for the Windows version of Outlook, correct?
Correct. It is only for the Windows version of Outlook. So we do have the web version, which is available to Mac users. I'm a Mac user at home. I love Macs myself. I think that they offer a great form factor and a great user experience. And when I need to send something secure, I'll just sign into the same way I sign into Gmail. I'd sign into ShareFile and compose a message here.
Okay, so if you are not using Outlook and you have Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, you can, as long as you send the file from the ShareFile portal, that would be a secure send. So it's not connected to Gmail in any way. It's not connected to your email application. You just initiate the email from the ShareFile portal, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And
All right.
Grady,
Other questions?
so a
Go ahead.
question along the lines of the encrypted email, when you send that encrypted email to your client or whoever, do they need a password to open it, was a question we had.
It's a great question. You can absolutely require a password if you want. There are ways that you can require just a username and an email. Excuse me, an email and a first and last name. But generally speaking, if it's something sensitive, we would recommend a password, although it's not required.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions. Let me see. So whenever you send the encrypted email and that client forwards that email, does the encryption go away or does the encryption stay? So the question was, do you lose encryption if the client forwards it?
So what you're doing, and for example, if you require a username and a password and they forward that on to somebody, that other person's not going to be able to access that no matter what. Let me show you what it looks like from the recipient's end. I'll see if I can actually pull it up on my Gmail account. If you'll just give me a second.
Okay, that's good. Those really good questions because they were very interesting to kind of think about what happens to the message after. The client can do all sorts of crazy things with the document, right? Obviously, it's their fault if they share that, but I mean, we would love to understand how that works.
Sure. So I pulled up the recipient's email address. I sent it to one of my fictional email addresses. In this case, my work email sent this email account an encrypted message, and this is what it looks like on their end. They actually don't see any of the body of the text. They don't see any attachments, anything like that, until they click this green button right here. For the sake of the demonstration, I've not required my end recipient to put in a username and password. It's actually cached for later reference. So from this computer, because of the cache, they're able to basically get to the email message without having to enter it every single time.
Okay, so if you were going to include an EIN number or a social security number in the body of the email, the secure send would still secure it. And I assume that this protects against those hackers that just hack emails and scrounge for information inside the body anyway. So even if it wasn't password protected, usually hackers don't take that extra step and log into the secure site to actually get the data, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
So Hector,
there was another question. Go ahead, Michelle.
I think this is great, but we have people asking about ShareConnect and wanting to see that demo and some other demos. So why don't we go ahead and let Grady finish his content and his demos, and then we can do more questions near the end.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry. There's lots of well, actually, Grady, there's lots of questions coming in, and Hector and I are doing our best to type in answers and get the questions to you. But I was telling people we're going to make sure to provide some contact information and that you all will follow up to make sure that they do get their questions answered. I'm just not sure we're going to get it all done in this hour. So.
I've got a team here that would be more than happy to work with the attendees on this webinar to answer any questions, do additional demos if there's anything we didn't cover. We can absolutely take care of that.
Very good. Go ahead then.
All right. So let's touch on to the next step of this presentation, which is going to cover some of the e-signing things you can do with ShareFile. So if I go to shared folders, I'll go to a folder that I share access with one of my clients, Bob. Maybe I need to get a signature on a document. It could be an engagement letter. It could be an 8879. All I have to do is check mark it and hover over the more icon, and I can click Get Signature. When I do this, that file automatically gets uploaded into RightSignature, and it allows me to easily send it off to my recipient. RightSignature is connected with your ShareFile account, so all I have to do is start typing in the name of the person that I'm actually sending this to. In this case, Grady alternate, my alternate email address for this Gmail account that I've been showing you guys. And I don't have to even put in the email address because it's syncing that information from my ShareFile account. At this point, I can include a title to the email that they're going to get to sign this in a subject. I also have the ability to specify things like if I want to allow that person to sign with a webcam, which is a really cool tool for people that really prefer to do handwritten signatures. They can sign on a piece of paper and hold it up to a webcam, and it'll actually capture that signature and put it on the document. So really providing a lot of signature options for users so that they can sign it the way that they're most comfortable with. And at this point, it's really easy to use. I click Next Step. This is the file. And then all I have to do is choose where on the document I want them to send, or I want them to sign. So in this case, I'll grab the signature box. I'll put it here. I can adjust the size, the position, make sure that the right person is signing it. In this case, there's only one other person that's signing. Although you can have multiple signers as well, and you can say in what order things need to be signed if you need to do that. Very flexible tool, really easy to use. Only takes a few minutes to get set up. And all I have to do is click send for signature, and my client will receive a link in their email for them to sign this. And again, they can sign from their laptop, they can sign from the desktop. If they're pulling it up on a mobile device like their phone, they have the ability to sign using their finger right there as well. One other great aspect about this is that when my client actually does sign this file, not only will I be notified via email that the signed file has arrived, but that signed version of that file is automatically going to get put back into the ShareFile folder where I send it from. So for example, in this case, I share access to this folder with my client. By them signing it, they're also putting it in a place where they can get 24/7 access to it as well, in addition to myself. Just a nice little workflow tool that we built in to ensure that you're not having to move files back and forth a lot. So really easy to use. If you want to use RightSignature individually, you can set up a username and password as well. And you do have the ability to use RightSignature outside of ShareFile too. And there are some great tools that RightSignature offers. You can get tracking on all the documents that you have out for signature. You can see whether or not they've actually been signed, when they were sent, who's executed on them, that sort of thing. You can set up an online form, which is a great way to, if you have a standard document template, something like an engagement letter, you can set up that engagement letter one time, and then you can send it off to dozens or hundreds of people really easily without having to go through much manual effort at all. Of course, there's all sorts of detailed reporting that's available in a RightSignature account. One of the great things that you get when you use a Citrix tool is all the data and analytics that help you perform more efficiently. And we even have some advanced capabilities like payments so that you can receive things like credit card authorizations and purchase orders via RightSignature in a PCI compliant way as well. Now, one of the great things that RightSignature offers, and this is particularly relevant in the accounting space, is the ability to have like a knowledge-based password. And what I mean by that is you can include, for example, a piece of information. You can set it up so that the end user has to put in a specific piece of information, otherwise they can't actually sign the document. This could be something like a shared password, or basically something you exchange with the client in advance that only that person would know. And that ensures that only that person can actually fill out and sign that file, and it's in compliance with IRS guidelines. Very powerful tool, works again independently of ShareFile, but the two work really well together as well. And the final tool we'll cover for today is something called ShareConnect. It's one of our newest tools that's available for accountants, and we've really built out the features to be tailored for the needs of our accounting professionals. You'll put in the same username and password that you use for your ShareFile account, so you don't have to manage or remember multiple different passwords and emails and that sort of thing. And when I sign in, I'm presented with a dashboard where I can see all of the computers that I can log into at this particular time. In this case, I have my work computer set up so that I can access it when I'm outside of the office. And so if I'm working on my phone or my iPad, I've got a big trip coming up in a couple weeks. I don't plan on bringing my work computer with me. If I ever need to get any work done, I can connect right to my work computer and work as if I was on my desktop right from that phone or tablet. But it's about more than just being able to connect to your own computer. One of the great things that ShareConnect allows you to do is log into your client's computers as well. We touched on this earlier. It's really relevant for QuickBooks files and consulting in particular. Sometimes those backup files can be very difficult to exchange. Generally speaking, accountants tend to be a little bit more tech savvy than the clients they're working with. And so trying to use that new backup file or that file that you've made revisions to, sometimes that can be problematic. Much easier to just be able to sign into your client's work computer and actually take care of whatever revisions and reviews need to be done right there. And so adding a client's computer is super easy. If I click this link, all I have to do is put in my client's email, and they'll receive an email with an easy install link, and it'll instruct them to install it. It takes only a few minutes, and then at that point you can access their computer with their discretion at any time. And it allows you to do that type of QuickBooks and other business file consulting that you might need to take care of. In addition to logging into your client's computers, one of the great new features we've added is the ability to log into a server. This is a really cool tool as well. It's brand new. Basically, there are going to be times, depending upon how your firm operates, if you do have an internal server, where you might need to get to your server remotely, whether that's to do maintenance or just to check in on things. File server access ensures that you can not only do that, but that you can get to the files that otherwise would be difficult to access outside of the office. So file server access is a great new addition. Again, really just designed to allow you to work from anywhere, get to all of your files no matter where they're stored, so that you can operate more efficiently.
So Grady,
So
can I ask a really quick question on the ShareConnect? We had some questions about how many client computers can you set up? Is there limitations to that? And also, how does it differ from go to my PC or go to Assist?
It's a great question. So GoToMyPC is kind of our older version of this remote access utility. GoToMyPC isn't really optimized for tablets or for smartphones the same way that ShareConnect is. So you can certainly get to your desktop with GoToMyPC, and for those that are comfortable using it, I encourage you to continue doing that. But ShareConnect changes the interface to make it more optimized for touch, for example, when you are accessing it from an iPad or an Android tablet or a smartphone. Sometimes, and for anyone that's used tools like this, it can be really difficult to get the pointer exactly where you want it when you're using your finger from a tablet. That corrects for this. This corrects for that.
And can you use ShareConnect on a Mac computer?
Yes, you can use ShareConnect on a Mac. So from your Mac, you can access, for example, your Windows work computer.
And how many client computers can we set up?
I don't think that there's a limit to the number of client computers you can set up. I'm not 100% positive on that, though, so that's a question I would kind of default to Fletcher for on that.
Okay.
But it's designed to be very, very competitive. Let's just put it that way.
And once you set it up, do you have unattended access? In other words, if the client is out to lunch, I can log in. They have to leave their computer turned on, is that correct? And then as long as they leave their computer turned on, they can turn the monitor off if they want, but then I can use ShareConnect to log in without the client being there to give me permission, correct?
That's correct. The client's basically able to say on their end when they set it up what they do and don't want to grant access to. So they could say, just these files or these folders. But the nice thing is they don't even need to turn off their monitor on their end. If they're out to lunch, you can set up on your end ShareConnect so that it blacks out the screen on the client's then, so that if somebody else happens to be in the office, they're not able to see what's going on.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And does it have that, like if the computer goes into sleep mode, does it have that wake on LAN or wake on whatever to wake it up?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Okay, so as long as it's actually turned on, they're going to be able to access it.
Correct.
Very cool. Okay, I'll let you continue. Thank you.
Yeah, and one other point of distinction, because it does have that capability, because the client's able to kind of limit what the accountant does have access to, should they want to, it also doesn't require the accountant to have that client's username and password for that computer. So because they're only accessing a small portion of it.
Very good.
Sometimes I can understand why anybody wouldn't want to give that information out. Definitely not required in order to get all the utility out of this.
Okay, so we're getting lots of questions from people now about ShareConnect and ShareFile and the pricing, and do you have a special discount like for all three for people? So I want to make sure that we get a chance to cover some of those questions. Do you have some slides on that? Or do you have some other demo that you need to finish first?
No, I pretty much covered everything I needed or wanted to. So we do have some special offers that we're making available for attendees of this webinar. We have discounts that are up to 50% available for attendees. All you would need to do is reach out to he's our Director of Corporate Sales for our accounting division, which is our largest division. His name's Fletcher Martin. Truly an expert about accountant workflows and how his tools can help out. He'd be more than happy to work with you personally to set up something like a demonstration if there's something that we didn't cover that you would like to see, or to answer any questions that you have, whether that's about the product or about pricing as well. But yeah, there are some great discounts available at this point.
So do you actually have some bundles for accounting professionals for all three products together? Is ShareConnect separate or is it included? RightSignature, can you have RightSignature without using ShareFile? Is that standalone and sold separately?
So any of these products can be purchased separately. If you don't have interest in using ShareConnect or ShareFile, maybe it's just RightSignature, you absolutely can purchase that as a standalone. At the same time, we have some new bundles that we're rolling out that actually make it more affordable to have all three. Provides a pretty significant discount because we want to reward loyal customers. So I would definitely make sure to ask Fletcher about these bundles that are starting to roll out.
Okay, very good. And then a couple of other questions that have come through. We've had some specific questions about Canada and where's the data stored with ShareFile. Is the data stored in the U.S. or do you have Canadian servers as well?
That is an excellent question. I know that we do have international servers. For example, I think we have one in Ireland. I don't know off the top of my head if we have one in Canada, though. So I would have to get back to you on that one. I don't want to tell you something I don't know for sure.
Okay, no problem there. And again, to everyone, please write down either Fletcher's email here or I'm not sure, Grady, if you want to give yours, because lots of you have lots of very great questions, and I can tell you that the Citrix people are really good about talking to you in your practice and helping you to determine what you need for your firm. I also saw lots of questions coming through saying, I'm using Carbonite or I'm using Mozy. Will this replace that? I'm using LogMeIn. Will ShareConnect replace that? They can help you to talk about these tools and which ones are right for your practice, and yes, which ones that you can eliminate because you won't need those anymore. So each one of you may have a little bit different needs, and they really do a great job of talking to you about what your firm needs to maximize things for your practice. So I would encourage you to do that, and they'll follow up with you.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I actually launched a polling question where you can say yes or no if you want them to proactively email you and set up an appointment. There are so many. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of questions, and it seems that because so many accountants out there already have some sort of file sharing solution and some sort of remote access solution. There's a lot of questions specific to comparing. People want to say, well, compare Google Drive with ShareConnect, and some people are saying compare Smart Vault with ShareFile, and so people are asking a lot of these comparison questions that I don't think we're going to be able to get to today. So I would strongly recommend that you talk through somebody at Citrix. Citrix obviously wants to sell you their product and it's going to show you what's better than the competition, but you may need to talk through some of these things, especially with what works, what doesn't work, what you're trying to achieve from it, et cetera, et cetera. So I put the polling question in there. Just answer yes or no if you want Citrix, Grady, or Fletcher, right, to contact you directly proactively and set something up for you. So I'm going to close that poll, and I'm going to go ahead and put the CPE keyword because we're approaching to the top of the hour. And so I'm going to go ahead and launch the CPE polling question. So the CPE polling question is up. And if you don't mind, can I ask, Michelle, do you have more questions? Can I ask some questions that I picked up from here from the chat?
Sure, Hector, go ahead.
Okay, so Grady, in terms of getting ShareFile to talk to other systems, so one specific person said, can ShareFile, or is there a roadmap for ShareFile to connect to QuickBooks Online somehow, kind of like how Smart Vault does? And is there anything on the roadmap for ShareFile to talk to other systems like a CRM system or directly to Gmail, that sort of thing? So you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I could share a little bit without going into too much detail. I have to be a little bit careful about what I say, but at a high level, we have been rebuilding our APIs. They're very robust at this point, and we are actively working with other software providers in the space to ensure that we're providing best-of-breed experiences. So I can't go into too much detail, but yes, it is something that we are actively pursuing.
Okay, perfect. The other question was around IRS. Apparently, IRS specifically sets the guidelines in terms of how to collect digital signatures for 8879s. So people were asking, is RightSignature compliant to receiving digital signatures for 8879s?
It is, and there is a lot of, I've kind of went over some of the highlights of what the IRS requires, like the fact that you need to have some type of shared knowledge that's unique between you two to ensure that the right person is signing. Like that's like a knowledge type basic authentication. They only, you can say, agree basically in advance to a specific password, for example, that only that person would know. There are a number of other guidelines. We have data sheets that actually kind of address those bullet by bullet that we can distribute for those that are interested. If they want to, for example, reach out to Fletcher, we can absolutely provide more details on that.
Okay, and about QuickBooks Online integration, are you able to release anything on that? Because somebody had actually specifically mentioned that they had seen something about a ShareFile talking to QuickBooks Online. Is there anything you can share on that?
I can say that Intuit is one of the bigger providers in the space, and what they're doing with QBO is definitely the future of QuickBooks consulting. So it's something that we're looking into.
Okay, perfect. And now I'm gonna let go of the polling question so you can go to pricing. Okay, because people are, I don't know, do you have a price? Do you have anything with direct? Do you have any sheet or anything that talks about pricing about on ShareFile or ShareConnect, or can you talk about some of the pricing?
I'd be happy to. So if you check out ShareFile's website or RightSignature or ShareConnect, all three products have different pricing that's listed on the website. Totally transparent. You can see what's there. What you're not going to get is what's not visible on the website is the pricing that's available for bundles. So some of the discounts that are available for purchasing all three, or for even just a couple of the three products. So for example, with ShareFile, we have plans that for accounting firms that start at around $60 a month that include up to 5 people, and a good amount of storage. And then we have plans that go all the way up to 100 that include more features, an unlimited amount of storage, which can be really beneficial if you're trying to, whether that's sync a lot of files to the cloud or if you plan on using it quite a bit. Yep, so this is our website, totally transparent. You can check out the pricing for the individual products here or at rightsignature.com, etc. If you're interested in multiple products, or if you're interested in learning more, I definitely recommend talking with Fletcher or reaching out to him to see what kind of discounts are available.
Okay, how about for ShareConnect? I don't think I saw on the ShareConnect website, I don't think I saw pricing there. And there was something about 5 computers. Do you have any more clarity around that?
So that would be 5 users in Office, I believe, that would be using the product. I think, but the pricing per user is $9.95 a month, I believe, or $9.99 or $9.95.
So like Go to My PC, basically. So you just kind of compare it to Go to My PC.
Very similar, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then for RightSignature, was there a pricing on that? I'm not sure if that's on the website. Let me just check real quick.
Yep. If you go in the top right-hand corner, you can see
there's
plans and pricing that are available.
Okay. So it's a monthly fee. Okay. Perfect.
And so
Okay,
I just wanted to clarify something because I had some people asking about the using the ShareConnect and logging in remotely. It's just like all these other remote access things. When you log in remotely, you're working on the computer, so the client can't be working at the same time because only one person can work on one computer at a time, whether you're sitting in front of that computer or whether you're logging in remotely. So just to clarify that, it's kind of the same concept as what you've had before as these other remote access tools. So just to clarify that, and I also want to clarify that yes, if you're using ShareFile, you can drop Log Me In or some of the, or I'm sorry, not Log Me In, but some of these other backup services that you had. If you're using ShareConnect, you could drop Log Me In or some of these other remote access things that you could have. And that's where, again, Fletcher and the team at Citrix can help you guys to kind of answer some of these questions because there's lots of questions that we're just not able to get to in time.
Exactly. So let me go ahead and put the last slide up because the webinar is pretty much over. And Grady, I'm going to send you the questions list. There was a lot of questions left unanswered, just because some of them I may have to ask a follow-up question to really understand what they're asking. There was questions about, dual spouse signature securities. These are things that maybe you guys can handle. People comparing TeamViewer and other solutions as well that they were asking for. So thank you very much, Grady. You're going to have all the questions, and you're going to have everybody that requested to be contacted directly. So for the ones that are still here, mark your calendars. We currently have weekly webinars all the way until October 1st. The next one's going to be about the firm of the future by Ron Baker. So we're going to talk about not just value pricing as a concept. We're going to talk about value pricing as a business model. And then Chris Repetto will talk a little bit about the firm of the future winners. Hopefully they'll be able to release them by then. If Intuit releases QuickBooks 2016 Accountant Edition by the 10th of September, we will have a What's New in QuickBooks 2016 webinar. If they don't, then we will not have the webinar, and we'll either announce it via email or maybe we replace it with something else. On the 17th, right after extension tax season, we're going to do custom reporting in QuickBooks. That's going to be 100% QuickBooks in-product solution. And then we're going to talk about Spotlight reporting as a third-party add-on for reporting, and then on 9/24, the week right after, we're going to go in-depth in Spotlight reporting, sort of like we did with Citrix, and we're going to talk about their specific products and go a little bit deep dive on their products. And then on October 1st, we're waiting for confirmation from one of our guest speakers. We're going to do nonprofits. Michelle, do you want to add anything else before we wrap this up?
I just want to say thank you all for attending, and I also wanted to share with you, I'm here at the Chicago show, and I had several people coming up to me saying, that they attend the QB Power Hours, and they always learn something new, and they absolutely love them. So we appreciate you guys joining us for this. I know we don't always have time. It should be the QB Power Hour plus 2 or 3 more hours to answer all the questions and cover all the material. But please keep in mind that we will have Citrix folks following up with you, or you can follow up with them. Make sure you mention QB Power Hour and the 50% discount, and they will help you to create a bundle that's right for your practice and for your firm. I want to thank you guys. Grady, you did an awesome job as always, so thank you very much, and Hector as well. Grady, any last comments from you?
No, I'd just like to say thanks for having me on again. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to working with anybody that wants to learn more.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and hopefully you guys will all stay safe and the hurricane won't hit you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you next week. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Thanks.